this video, I'm going to be using the anterior sickle scaler. I'm going to be using it for tooth number 24, 25, 8, and 9 on the facials and linguals, surfaces towards and surfaces away. This particular scaler, it's one bend and the terminal shank is at 90 degrees. The tip itself, it's designed as a triangular shape. So when we adapt to the tooth, we want to be around 70 to 60 degrees, about 2 millimeters of the tip to the tooth. And pretty much what this anterior sickle scaler is, obviously it's designed for the anterior teeth, and it's typically a single-ended instrument, so we don't have to find the correct working end in order to get started. So I will begin by sitting at 8 o'clock, and again, we don't have to determine the correct working end, even though I feel like I kind of want to, and then I remember. I'm also going to be using my modified pen grasp like I would with the Explorer, and it's just going to be the same motions like I would use with an Explorer. I'm going to start with first placing, hold on just a sec. Okay. So I'm having a really hard time with splitting, so I just put this band right now just to get my fingers trained because I'm not sure why, but I don't know what's going on. Again, I don't have to find the correct working end, so I will just begin. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to use my modified pen grasp. I'm going to place my index a little firmer grasps compared to the Explorer. This middle finger is going to go onto the shank, fulcrum. I'm going to actually fulcrum pretty close just because I'm just not comfortable right now. So I'm going to be sitting at 8 o'clock again, and the patient's chin's going to be up. I'm going to start a little behind the midline so I can adapt my tip. So I want to be, so this is 90 degrees. I want to be somewhere between 70 and 80. And then I'll begin. And then we're going to want to roll right away. Roll. And once I get to the line angle of the tooth, I am going to pivot out. And then pivot out. And then pivot out. And then pivot out, and then pivot. And then once I get to the proximals, and then take the instrument out. So right away you want to pivot and roll. I think I just kind of did a little delayed there. It was a little delayed there. Again, here we go. Side to side, pivot, roll, side to side. Pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll. And then we want our angle of the shank to be parallel with the tooth. And then out. Okay, now I'm going to be working on the linguals. Again, surfaces towards. And then I will begin at that midline, just a little before it. Adapt my tip. And then tooth number 8. Adapt my tip. And then, okay, so now I'm going to be working with surfaces away. So I will be sitting at 11 to 12 o'clock, and I will begin with tooth number 8. And again, we don't have to find the correct working end. So we'll begin by placing my tip a little before the midline, and then I am going to be, so this is 90 degrees. I'm going to just kind of open it up so that I am at this little part of the tip, which is like 2, maybe 1 millimeters. And then I'm going to be around 70 to 80 degrees. And then modified pen grass, actually. First, let's do that. Place my fulcrum, like kind of right next to it, just for better support. I feel like this needs to be more straight, but this is what I feel most comfortable with. So I'm just, I don't know if I should put the patient's head down, but all right, I'll begin. Okay, so here we go. Not too flat against the tooth. Side to side, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll. Okay, and then what's going on? I just feel like I'm stuck right there, side to side. And then I should actually end my handle parallel to the tooth, so I'm gonna try that one more time. Okay, firm grasp, my index, side to side, side to side, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll. There we go, that felt better. Okay. Okay, just slightly move the head towards me. Again, modified pen grasp. Elbow's going to be a little out. Insert, not too flat, just a little bit. Side to side, pivot, roll. Just start pivoting and rolling right away. Okay, and then I will begin by working with surfaces away with the linguals. Okay, hopefully you can see. Okay, I just moved the camera so you guys can see. I'm going to use my mouth mirror. I'm going to be sitting at 11 to 12. Again, I feel like I'm trying to look for my correct working end, but I don't have to do that. So I will begin working on tooth number 8, placing my, just get my modified pen grasp, placing my tip, and we're at that midline, side to side, pivot, roll. So that was obviously choppy, so I'm just gonna kind of put a little more firmer grasp, and then side. I will actually begin with my elbow in. There we go. Side to side, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, walk into interproximals. Again, starting with my elbow in. And then out. So here's scalar on tooth number 25 and 24 of facials, excuse me, facials and linguals. I will be sitting at 8 o'clock for surfaces towards me. Patient's chin's going to be down. Again, it's just the same concept of exploring, except I'm going to have a tighter, a firmer modified pen grasp. I'm going to start at the midline of the tooth on tooth number 24. I'm going to just use my modified pen grasp, place my fulcrum, start right there at that midline, either right at it or right behind it, and then elbows out, Here we go. Side to side, pivot and roll, pivot and roll, and roll, and roll, and then up and down. And then my handle should be parallel with the tooth, so maybe just a little bit like that. That's how you know you're in the correct angle. And then again, side to side, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, up and down, and then out. I truly hope you can see this. I feel like I want to flip my instrument, but again, for the anteriors, we don't need to locate the correct working end. Okay, so I'm going to start on 24. My index is hitting the incisal edges of the anterior teeth, so that's how I know I'm standing tall. Let me see here, just thought I'd throw that out there because I typically fall like this when I'm at the mesial. So I'll just try to look at that right now too. Side to side, pivot, roll, up and down, and then out. Same thing, side to side, pivot, roll, walk it in, up and down, and then out. Working all surfaces away, so I'll be sitting at the 11 to 1 o'clock, and I will begin by working on the facials. So let's see, I will insert my tip right at the midline of the tooth, or a little before, and again, this is 90 degrees. I'm going to kind of slide it out, so I'm at 70 to 80 degrees, and then I'm just going to pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, slide, vertical strokes, and then out. Tooth number 24. Okay, again for these smaller teeth, you want to pivot and roll right away. I'm hoping you guys can see this. Start at 25. Distal line angle, midline of the tooth. Okay. Side to side, pivot, roll, side to side, and then out. Okay. Side to side, pivot, roll, and then up and down, and then out.